sophomore third baseman Wallace, who has started every game this season at the hot corner for Arkansas. And the first pitch from McNary misses low and away. This is Wallace's 40th game in the leadoff spot for the Razorbacks. And he sends a chopper into the ship. Caden Rose is there. And there's one down.
Just the way you draw it up, if you're Jacob McNary, got to keep the ball down. It's not overpowering stuff. Nice job there getting some depth on that two-seamer to start the game.
Here's the Razorback catcher, Michael Turner. Senior transfer, was playing in the MAC last year. 0-1. Nothing in 2 now to Turner.
Yeah, Turner's been one of the big stories of this Arkansas team. You think about, not only do you get a transfer that can catch, but he hits left-handed. He's been right at the top of the order pretty much the entire year.
There's a changeup for strike 3, and Turner, quick dispatch. There's 2 down now in the first.
That was kind of nice, wasn't it? Turning over a changeup. Watch him get on top of this changeup. Late movement down and away. You cannot do it any better than that there, Mr. McNary.
So here's Robert Moore. 4th in the league in doubles with 16 of them. What a year Bob had last year. 2-time freshman All-American. That's right. Consecutive seasons. Don't see that outside of COVID.
One of the beauties of COVID. 2-time freshman All-American.
Switch hitting Moore stays in the 3-hole despite the fact that his average is in the 230s. And talking to Dave Van Horn about it, and he said, you know, listen, I got some lefties that I'm playing every day, and I like to be able to switch them up and create some gap in that batting order. One thing Robert Moore does really well is draw walks, and that is his 32nd. And we welcome those of you who watched Arkansas blank Princeton in the Fayetteville Regionals 11-0 on the softball side. Razorbacks will wait for the Wichita State-Oregon winner. How about the grand slam by Danielle Gibson in the bottom of the 4th, her 19th of the season, and the Razorbacks, the SEC champs, cruised. Tom Hart alongside Chris Burke, top of the 1st inning in Tuscaloosa. After the first 2 were dispatched easily, Robert Moore with a walk, and here's Wake Forest transfer Chris Lanzilli, senior from Stoneham, Mass, back in the starting lineup for the 2nd consecutive night after a 2-for-4 last night. Ball and a strike now to Lanzilli. And his numbers, Berkey, are pretty good. 309 average, but 6 home runs. And I think the expectations were a little bit more power for Lanzilli, but certainly more run production, 23 driven in. And he sends that one to the hot corner. Well, early on, Berkey, what can we expect velocity from Nolan?
90-91. He might get you a 2 or a 3, but that's the one to circle right there, Tommy. Just a hammer breaking ball, and very much, you know, kind of in the new age of pitching, and that's his best pitch, so that's the one you're going to see the most.
Just low with the fastball to Rose, who's hitting a tick better in SEC play than he is overall, and he's been hot lately. 410 average over his last 13 games. All of those have been starts. There's the curveball and a swing and a miss for Rose. Turner will throw down to finish the strikeout.
And there you have it. You've got the report. Obviously, we're in week 10 of conference play, right, Tommy? There are no secrets as to what Connor Nolan is going to throw you. And Now it's a matter of laying off of that breaking ball. As we take a look at the West standings, Arkansas battling with A&M to try to win the West, and Bama battling with Mississippi State, Kentucky, and Missouri to try to get into the conference tournament.
Here's William Hammer, the right fielder, looks at the first pitch low. As pedestrian as some of the offensive numbers are for this Alabama lineup, guys like Rose, Hamiter, and Pinckney, who we touched on earlier, have been swinging a hot bat lately. Robert Moore, he's as consistent as they come defensively. That's been a strength for Arkansas all season long. 5th in the country in fielding percentage, and Moore, one of the best double play combos with battles that you'll see in college baseball.
They're a lot of fun to watch. You know, I did a game a few weeks ago in Fayetteville, and Matt Hobbs, the pitching coach for Arkansas, you know you got a good shortstop when the pitching coach is bragging on him, right? Because they want every play made, and he will tell you that Battles and Moore are as good as he's ever been around.
First pitch breaking ball to Andrew Pinckney. A couple of hits last night. And that has him hitting .375 over his last 22. Pinckney from south of Atlanta in Peachtree City, Georgia, McIntosh High School. He was born in Tuscaloosa before making the move to Georgia. His dad played baseball at Grambling, where he's all conference. That one will get back to the bricks. 1-2 now to Andrew Pinckney. What a great example, Berkey. Pinckney, a guy who got his opportunity last year simply because of injury after not playing at all in 20, and now he's turned into the best hitter on the team.
Yeah, and Brad Bohannon just gushes about him as a kid as well.
Well, that was a quick Auburn never got played, and while that might hurt Alabama big picture NCAA tournament wise, because a win would have been huge, it could play to their advantage in terms of qualifying for Hoover.
Yeah, one less loss potentially, right? I mean, the way they're looking at it is they missed an opportunity at a win, but you never know. The no contest might end up being the reason they sneak into Hoover, and at this point they'll take it however they can get it.
Essentially, it would be a tiebreaker against any of those other teams. Brady Slavens has reached base safely in 7 straight. And he swings right through that offering from Jacob McNary. 2 balls and a strike. Slavens had a hit last night. It was a double, and he yanks this one down the line, but foul. So, Berkey, I think the story with Arkansas in this final weekend, and it will continue through Hoover, is will Arkansas be a top 8 national seed? Where do they stand in your mind relative to the other contenders for those top 8 spots?
Well, you know, it depends on what you value the most. For me, as that pitch was really close, I value winning a division of this conference. So to me, I don't see how, if Arkansas wins the West, or A&M for that matter, that one of those 2 teams isn't a top 8 seed just on that alone.
Mm-hmm. There's still a lot of baseball to be played. If you look at the top 8 national seeds that were positioned right now, really only the top 3, Tennessee, obviously, Oregon State, and Virginia Tech, seem to be locks at this point. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I think there's tons of opportunity for movement outside of those top few. And, you know, what we do know is that, you know, Tennessee and Oregon State are going to be 1 and 2. After that, you obviously got a couple of games left here to play in the last weekend, and then, you know, pretty much everybody has a conference tournament now, which are opportunities for people to continue to improve their resume and improve their RPI. But it's a pretty fascinating season as far as how some of the seasons don't match the RPI. So you look there, I mean, look, that's a pretty gaudy deal, right? 38-14, 18-10 in the SEC, yet the RPI is not even in the top 20. And we know historically, if you're not in the top, really, if you're not in the top 15, it's a long shot to be a top 8 seed. Whereas normally at this point in the season, if you're got a chance to win the SEC West, you're not really worried about your RPI.
Here's Braden Webb, a hit last night to take his average of 274 with 12 home runs on the year. And Webb fouls that one off. Some of the teams that they would be in contention with for those top 8 spots would be programs like Stanford, Maryland, Louisville, Texas A&M, obviously, who they're tied with the division lead for, Oklahoma State. Notre Dame lost last night to Miami. They have a 3-0 lead in the 5th at Mark-Light Stadium tonight. Breaking ball in the dirt, no advance by Slavens, who retreats back towards Drew Williamson.
This might surprise you, Tommy, but I would say outside of Virginia Tech, Oregon State, and Tennessee, I think your next biggest lock is Maryland.
Wow. Hold fouls.
I think we know the committee loves giving non-traditional host sites, right? Now, I mean, obviously there'll be a top 16, but I think the way they've dominated the Big Ten, their RPI's 9th, they're 42-10, and I think the NCAA will reward them.
Swing and a miss by Webb. That's the second strikeout for McNary. And with one down, Peyton Stovall will come to the plate. Maryland is only 1-2 against top 25 RPI teams. Against teams 101 plus, yeah, they've done some damage. They are 28-4, but they've only played 3 games against top 25 RPI programs.
Yeah, so
that one's chopped foul.
Don't miss what I'm saying. I'm not making their case as much as I just think that's the way it'll go.
In comparison, as Stovall tries to walk this one off, Arkansas is 5-8 against top 25 teams. That one got him in the thigh. That's a weird. That's not the thigh, but anyway.
Well, and honestly, Tommy, Arkansas's 5-8 record is Stovall's being tended to. Is part of the reason their RPI is where it is, right? I mean,
yeah, those numbers get redundant, don't they?
Yeah, they do. But it's just fascinating. You take a team like Clemson right in front of them, who's 11-16 in the ACC, yet Clemson has 3 more top 25 wins than Arkansas. So it's just kind of one of those deals where, call it whatever you want to call it, Arkansas's schedule, the way it has fallen, has not allowed them to rack up as many RPI boosters as some of the other teams in the bigger conferences.
Stovall homered last night, his 4th of the season. And after getting some attention, he'll stand back in against McNary. Stovall, freshman from Houghton, Louisiana. Preseason SEC Freshman of the Year, and he fouls this one off.
Yeah, Tommy, we talk about this Arkansas offense being kind of underachieving. We talk about Lanzilli and his numbers maybe not being what you would expect. Peyton Stovall was everybody's pick for Freshman of the Year. And then, of course, Moore and Slavens have really had their struggles in conference play. And you add that up. I mean, if you told Dave Van Horn that Peyton Stovall would be hitting 260 with less than 20 ribbies at the front of the year, I think he probably would have taken that bet, right? And so, it's a team that most people still feel like have the talent to go on a run offensively, but it just has not come together in any kind of major bunches offensively.
This one's lined into the corner. That is a fair ball. Hops against the fence. Tommy Seidel digs it out. And Arkansas in business on a double into the corner from Peyton Stovall, advancing Slavens to third.
There you go. Maybe Stovall's saving his best for last, right? A homer last night. He gets a hanging change up here, and this is why everybody loves him. Watch how flat this path is. That barrel is flat as a pancake on the backside, a bullet in the left field corner, and after fouling off a couple 2-strike pitches, he earns himself a hanger and rips it to get the Hogs going here in the second.
When's the last time you made pancakes?
It's been a minute,
Yep.
but I have before. It's on my resume.
At the plate. Battles had a couple of hits last night, including a double, senior from San Antonio. Half of his home runs have come in SEC play. He fouls this one back. You know what I think the next frontier analytically can be in college baseball, Berkey? We have TrackMan technology. We have pitching labs. We have exit velocity. We have all sorts of numbers, but we haven't found a great way to measure and rate college fielding. Here's a ground ball to short. That'll get the run home. Jarvis handles it. And a productive ground out for Jalen Battles as Arkansas goes up 1-0, bringing home Slavens. And I bring that up because Jalen Battles and Robert Moore don't have great offensive numbers. Mm-hmm. But, man, they are as valuable a double play combination as you'll find in the SEC. So how do you rate them from a value perspective, despite the fact that the production offensively isn't where it could be, as Gregory digs in?
Well, I think you rate them based on their team's record and their pitching staff's ERA. And while it's a good pitching staff for Arkansas, it's not a lights out, current, say, Tennessee staff or some of these, Florida staffs or Vandy staffs we've seen in the past, right? Yet here they are with a sub-4 ERA, number 2 in the SEC in pitching. And I think a huge piece of that is because of the play of their defense, specifically their middle infield. And like you said, we don't have the fancy metrics that they have in Major League Baseball, but it's quite obvious that they have a winning formula with their pitching and defense that even though we can't quite measure it, it shows up in wins and losses.
Gregory in the 9-hole with a runner at second base and 2 down. It's a 1-0 Arkansas lead thanks to the Battles ground out. A couple of batters after the Brady Slavens leadoff walk. Well, McNary's off-speed stuff has looked pretty good early on.
Yeah, I mean, the changeup has gotten a bunch of swings and misses. Of course, that's also the pitch that he hung to Peyton Stovall. But if you're going to pitch well against this Arkansas team, you got to have something to go with the left-handers they have that go away for the lefties, and he has done that tonight.
5 lefties in Dave Van Horn's lineup tonight. For an Arkansas program that's hitting just .281 with runners on base. That is bottom 3rd in the SEC for a team that's top 10 in the country.
Yeah, the offensive numbers just aren't real pretty, right? You said it, 13th in batting, 8th in runs in SEC play. There's not a whole lot of numbers to point to that are pretty offensively, but they've done just enough.
Yeah, and the result of that is they haven't, since a 17-3 start, they haven't strung together any wins. They've alternated wins and losses over the last 9 games.
Yeah, and I think
plate, full count.
I think that's going to be interesting to see in the postseason, Tom, because you just haven't seen in a elongated stretch of winning in bunches from this group.
Swing and a miss on the
coat.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misspoke. How about a poncho?
Okay, there we go.
So I got so excited about the alliteration, I had the wrong jacket.
Oh, man.
Dominic Temez at the plate, the Alabama catcher, and they count 2-0 now.
Cannot wait to get to Hoover, though. One of the best, if not the best, weeks of the year. Just the way that tournament is run and getting all these programs in one place on one field, there's just nothing like it. I feel like every year we leave there more impressed than the year before. And there's going to be a whole bunch of juice in the building this year with all the great hitters the league has to offer. And, I think, Tennessee's obviously the favorite, but the league has played out with so much parity besides Tennessee that I think it has the opportunity to have just some great games.
Temez, a former Arkansas catcher. So you won't bring a parka then?
I'm not bringing a parka, Tom, even though you did suggest that, but I'm going to leave that home.
I mean, The weather's been crazy enough to have fog outs, by the way. Arkansas breezed through Hoover last year 4-0. What an incredible season for the Razorbacks before they got derailed by NC State in their super regional. School record fielding percentage last year, school record home runs. Ground ball to short. Here's Battles again. 2 down. 5 straight retired by Connor Nolan to start this game.
A punch out and 4 ground balls. That's what you like to see if you're Matt Hobbs, the pitching coach for the Razorbacks, from your veteran right-hander, obviously getting the ball to the bottom of the zone and missing barrels.
And that's where he lives. He is 2-1 ground ball, fly ball outs this season for Arkansas. Denton chops one into the dirt. Junior from Brentwood, Tennessee, out of Ravenwood High School. Kind of waiting for Denton to live up to expectations. The power is there. A dozen home runs, and talking with Brad Bohannon this week, he had a pretty good practice, hit one out Sunday. Hit one out in their scrimmage Tuesday. They were rained out on Sunday and never ended up playing. But coming into this weekend, just 7 for his last 53. And they've tried to help him out. They moved him around the lineup, trying to give him some different looks. How does that impact a hitter?
Well, you know, there is a psychological deal with different spots in the batting order. Specifically, if you're hitting right there in the middle, you tend to get pitched tougher. You tend to have a little more pressure because obviously the high OBP guys are on in front of you, those kinds of things. And so they've tried to just get him in a place where he can relax and be the kind of hitter he's shown himself to be in last season and in the early part of this year. But it just has not clicked in conference play for Denton.
And Nolan blows a fastball by him for his second strikeout. Connor Nolan has faced 6. He has retired 6. And the Razorbacks have a 1-0 lead through 2 innings. Back to action, swing and a miss. Or Caden Wallace to start off the third. Ole Miss trying to do that at home without Mike Bianco. They had some drama last night. And Bianco automatic ejection when his pitcher got ejected for throwing out a batter. Ole Miss made that thing interesting after A&M had jumped out to a big lead. Wallace 0 for 1 with a ground out to second.
A&M is so hot that they are shutting down an Ole Miss, or not shutting down, but won last night and off to a good start today against an Ole Miss team that had won 7 in a row, swept their last 2 series, including doing something they'd never done, which is sweeping LSU at the box. But, man, this Aggies team just won't quit, Tommy. It's incredible the turnaround that they have had in 1 year. And not just in 1 year, but this is a team that got beat by Penn in the pre-conference, like in a series.
Swing and a miss by Wallace. Strikeout number 4 for McNary. How dare you throw shade on Mark DeRosa's program, but you're not a fan of the Quakers, I see.
McNary just turning over the changeup. How about right on right? Usually right-handers, when they see something coming at them on the inside part of the plate, think fastball, so Wallace speeds up. The bottom drops out of that changeup. A really, really nice pitch there from McNary.
So here's Michael Turner, the Arkansas catcher. How's A&M done it in your mind?
Well, it's been mostly offense, right? Nathan Detmer's been fantastic. Jacob Polish has been incredible, the transfer. Detmer, the Friday night starter. Polish, the transfer from Stanford, has kind of been there everything out of the bullpen. But it's pretty much been offense, and it's been a lot of transfers with Dylan Rock from Texas San Antonio has been the rock in the middle of their lineup. But Troy Claunch and Jack Moss have been fantastic as well. And it's just an offense that has put up runs in bunches.
To second, Rose, 2 down. it seems, and we'll see if it continues not just through Hoover but through the NCAA tournament, that experience has been more important than high-level talent, or at least high-ceiling talent to this point in the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been both, but I think one of the reasons there has been so much offense in college baseball this year is because I think from a hitting standpoint, the hitters have never been older than they are, and understandably so with the extra years that guys have gotten through COVID. And, you know, some of these guys might not be big-time pro prospects, but they've had hundreds of college at-bats, and they've been in weight rooms for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And there's a bunch of grown men playing college baseball this year, Tommy.
Moore just foul into the left field corner. Why don't those same measurables and standards exist on the pitching side that would give pitching an advantage?
Well, I think if you're old and still in college as a pitcher, then you're probably not as talented, right? Like, even though the draft is shorter now than it's ever been, the most talented arms are going off the board. And so, you know, the older pitchers in college baseball, like what we're looking at here with Jacob McNary, which fantastic stuff, but, you know, maybe not uber talented, right? I think of like a Redmond Walsh at Tennessee, a 6-year guy. Even Connor Nolan pitching tonight for the Hogs, like not over the top talented, but crafty. But when you got a bunch of dudes that aren't maybe elite and a bunch of old hitters that have kind of seen it all, it appears that the advantage has been in the favor of the hitters.
2-2 to Robert Moore. Swings and misses. In years past, I just feel like they haven't had that much on the line. But it's a tournament where they've got a pod system. You end up playing some seemingly meaningless games. They're going to have some heavy weight on those games as Tommy Saddle, the Ivy League transfer, digs in.
Yeah, a whole lot to play for still on the back end of that ACC deal. And you're right, just an odd formula. I don't know why they stick with it. They get kind of smoked every year by the national media and press about the format. And for some reason, they're just married to it. But, you know, I see Auburn slipping in there as a top 8 seed, and I think that was projected on them, you know, winning and maybe even sweeping the series this weekend against Kentucky. But having lost game 1, and certainly if they lose one more, I just don't see how Auburn is going to be a top 8 seed. And, you know, you just look at the fact that Arkansas and A&M both have 3 more conference wins than Auburn. I just don't see that happening.
Seidel sends it deep to right field, but the park will hold it, and Lanzilli hauls it in. So the Harvard transfer, Harvard grad with an econ degree, flies out deep to right, and that brings Owen Diodati to the plate.
You with me on that, Tommy? You see an Auburn team, let's just say they end up with 2 or 3 less conference wins. Yeah. You see them being a higher national seed than A&M or Arkansas?
No, I can't see it. That's just simple math, right?
Yeah.
Ground ball to the right side. That one off of Stovall and will trickle into shallow right field. And it's the first hit of the game for Alabama as Diodati gets on board, 1 down.
Yeah, so Robert Moore is going to be mad at Peyton Stovall for this. You have to know how slow that ball's hit. And see, Peyton Stovall's been a middle infielder his whole life, and I know he's been playing first base all year long. But that is a topped, slow ground ball that Robert Moore would have fielded easily. And Peyton Stovall's got to read ball speed and trajectory and immediately know that that's not my ball. Let me retreat to the bag, and Robert Moore's going to make that play with his eyes closed. But he didn't, and it cost him a runner.
Here's Jim Jarvis. What responsibility does Stovall have to know exactly where his second baseman is positioned before the pitch?
Yeah, so that's definitely a pre-pitch look and communication from both defenders, right? But there's also a post-impact responsibility for Moore, and he might have been doing it, screaming, I got it, I got it, I got it. But you can see that was a pretty quick crossover and dive by Stovall, and it probably didn't allow him the time to even hear, even if Moore was calling for it.
Jarvis, a junior from San Diego, looks at the pitch low, 2-1. Jarvis has had a couple of big series in SEC play, just lacking consistency. Had 4 hits in the LSU series, hit 6 hits in 14 at-bats against Ole Miss. Now 3-1. Might be the best bunter on this Alabama team as Brad Bohannon runs through the sign, second in the league in sacrifice bunts.
I'd send him right here. This is a good time to put your runner in motion.
It's ball 4. Diodati was not going. But after cruising through the first 7 hitters in the lineup, Nolan allows that infield single and then a walk to the 9 hole. And back to the top of the order now, Caden Rose.
And, we'll see how this inning unfolds, but the 1 base hit was a mental mistake by the first baseman, and now he has put his pitcher in a tough spot.
Speaking of defensive versatility, Caden Rose has started at second base, center field. Going off the chest protector of Michael Turner. Rose has battled some injuries this season, making his 37th start tonight. Nolan struck him out in the first. Want to know the count. Berkey, I was digging into Alabama's numbers, and this might be something, it might be nothing. You tell me. But they're not a team with a ton of power. 57 home runs in the season. That's bottom third in the league. But they've hit more first pitch home runs than any other count. A fifth of their home runs. Yeah, it was. About a fifth of their home runs have come on the first pitch. Is that a sign of a team without real power and just ambushing?
That's probably fair. Yeah, I would think that that's, one way to look at that number.
Lanzilli would jog in for this one.
Yeah, I think the other way to look at that number is maybe mindset, right? You're uber aggressive on the first pitch. You kind of know you have the green light to let it rip. And obviously, as you get deeper into a count, especially if you're behind in the count, you want to shorten up. But there's a difference between shortening up and losing your aggressiveness. And you just wonder maybe if that's part of the equation as well. But, their power numbers have dropped even more in SEC play, second to last, only ahead of Kentucky and homers in the Southeastern Conference. It's just tough to win games in this league without hitting homers.
Mm-hmm. 2 down here is William Hameter. 1 for 5 last night, which from a big picture perspective, you say it's tough to win in this league without hitting home runs. Obviously, the NCAA tournament, and by the time you get to Omaha, it's a little bit different. But Oregon State's not playing with a lot of power this season.
No, and it's a much different part of the world right now. Southern California, the ball does travel better, and certainly in the desert it does. But you play in the Pacific Northwest, and that's traditionally not a place where the ball goes out of the ballpark easily.
They have about a third the number of home runs that Tennessee does. Give or take a few. 1-1. Chop to the right side. Tough play. Bob Moore going to charge in, and everybody's safe. Moore was playing deep on the grass, and the bases have been loaded on another infield single.
Yeah, and this is the risk you take when you play that deep shift is can you get there on a ball that's not hard hit? Yeah, you give yourself a few steps more of range, but you also cost yourself on, these kind of slow rollers. And boy, did that bite the Hogs right there. And now the ball has not left the infield, yet Bama's got their best hitter up here with the bases loaded.
Pinckney red hot over the last 22 games. Aces juice 2 down, and a fastball misses low. Pinckney really took off this season during the Georgia series. Hit a home run in one of those games against the Bulldogs and simply built his confidence to a place that has put him as the best hitter on this team.
Yeah, I was lucky to do that game, Tommy, and he takes a fastball and off Liam Sullivan, lefty from Georgia, and I think he was ahead in the count. Anyway, he gets a fastball right underneath his hands, and he gator arms it and flips the hips and keeps it fair. It's just a beautiful move, and we had him in the postgame, and it's like, man, I've really been working on that pitch. It felt great to finally pull it off in a game. And then really that kind of swing, that moment has really sparked him to a monster finish here.
Nolan misses with the fastball, 2-1. Alabama playing just to simply get into Hoover and then take their chances there. Arkansas playing for what would be their 4th consecutive SEC West title. And a byproduct of that, a top 8 national seed on the line. 2-2.
That was the pitch.
Yeah,
that was the one we were just talking about. The fastball in now, a little bit down right there, but again, the power of being able to spin that breaking ball is that you can get guys guessing. And that fastball in locked him up right there. Would not surprise me at all if he now goes back to the breaking ball.
Pinckney wants time, granted by Derek Mollica. So they'll reset. Speaking of Pinckney finishing strong, he's hitting 20 points higher in conference play than the non-conference. And 4 of his 6 home runs have come against SEC pitching. Breaking ball, strike 3 called. Huge hook from Nolan to get out of trouble. Couple of infield singles and a walk. Alabama can't do anything with it. They leave the bases loaded.
You know where he's going when he needs a big one, a hammer on the outside corner to get the Hogs off the field.
That is wild. And by the way, on the same night, Missouri leads Georgia 9-1 on the road in Athens.
That's 2 nights in a row. Georgia's gotten popped.
That game, Missouri and Georgia, is in the 8th. This is Chris Lanzilli leading off the 4th. Arkansas with a 1-0 lead.
Can I just say, yay, sports. I mean, sports are amazing. And athletes, the ability to flush something, the resilience to just be able to go, I do not care what happens yesterday or what people think is supposed to happen. That's why we play the games. Like, I mean, you know, it's like the Mavericks beating the Suns by 1,000,000 in Game 7. I mean, who had that? You know what I mean? And you called the game last night, Tommy. They scored 20. Tennessee scored 27 runs last night, and today they have uno.
I tried to put it out of my mind even when the game ended. Well, listen, you don't have to tell Arkansas fans, right? I mean, last year their opener against NC State, they outscored them 21-2, and then lost consecutive 1-run games to be denied a trip to Omaha. 21-2.
It's a perfect example.
That one inside the line. Lanzilli looking at extra bases. Seidel finds it against the fence. And the former Demon Deacon standing up at second with the leadoff double.
Well, he just didn't pull it enough last time, Tommy, right?
Right.
He didn't hit it enough down the line. Denton got him last time, but not this time. A changeup that he's out in front of, he just hooks it past the diving Denton, and something tells me next time he comes up, Denton might be standing on the foul line. But, hey, Tommy, you know, the first college game I ever played, we were at Georgia State. We won 34-6. And after the game was over, Rod Delmonico told us, he said, boys, do not show up here tomorrow expecting to blow this team out again. I've seen crazier things happen. And we lost the next game 5-3, and we had to, like, score late to win the series. I mean, it was crazy. And that was my introduction to college baseball. And ever since then, I've always been tickled by the way teams bounce back after blowout losses. It happens a lot.
Slavens walked and has scored the lone run for Arkansas. I was talking with Brad Bohannon the other day. He said, you know, I'm hopeful that after that Auburn series, we're in a place where we can just go out and play. And so often, if you don't think about it and you don't stress about the result and you just go out and play, good things happen. This one's flicked down the line and it will get out of play.
Yeah, and he actually referenced, we were kind of talking about Ole Miss, who was 7-14, and then boom, won 6 conference games in a row. And really, they came to South Carolina's place after South Carolina. It looked like their season was probably about wrapped up, and then boom, South Carolina swept Alabama, right? And so he's kind of felt that firsthand about a team that was just kind of nothing to lose. And that's what he was hoping from his club this weekend.
Nothing and 2 now to Slavens. A Tennessee win against Mississippi State last night that you referenced. He out-hit him 25-5. That one will sneak through the shift. Coming around third is Lanzilli. And Arkansas takes a 2-0 lead on a seeing-eye ground ball from Brady Slavens.
Well, and that's the formula for Arkansas. They need Lanzilli and Slavens to hit like stars. And a double backed up by a single. And that's the kind of sequence that'll make Dave Van Horn smile.
Bobby Wernis, first base coach, looking in as Braden Webb comes to the plate. And Webb sends a breaking ball to third. Chance for 2, second for 1, and late over it. Oh, they said he got him. We'll see if that stands, but Slavens out on the front end at the very least. What'd you think? Your blind eye.
I thought they got it right as we see Denton. Was that Jarvis? Yeah, I think this is Jarvis turning that. No, that's Rose. Excuse me, Rose and Williamson. Yeah, I think they finished that one off.
40th
Sometimes
double
with these
play
shifts,
turn.
Tommy, you just never know.
That's right, and they'll put the shift on again, and now Jarvis will go to the right side of the bag at second, and Rose will go to shallow right. Changeup tipped foul by Peyton Stovall. That leaves Denton, the third baseman, essentially playing short. There's about 40 feet of room on the left side from the foul line to where Denton is. Little nubber. Temez handles it. And fifth-year senior with 19 home runs. KB Sides had a 2-for-2 day. Here's Drew Williamson, Alabama first baseman. Seems like Drew has been a capstone for about 9 years now.
Yeah, he's had some ABs in the Alabama pinstripes. There's no doubt about it. Still has another year if he wants it. That'll be an interesting storyline to follow with this Alabama team is, some of these guys that are eligible to come back, can they get them all back?
Senior from Brewton, Alabama. Williamson all over the Alabama record book thanks to his longevity. 7th in program history in walks. 3rd in fielding percentage in Alabama history. Brad Bohannon's seen some pretty good first basemen in his days, huh? That one beats the shift as Williamson reaches with a 2-strike hit. That's just good hitting right there, Chris Burke.
Yeah, we've seen some shift beaters tonight. The numbers usually go in favor of the shift, but we've seen, what is that now, like 3 balls that have beat the different holes created by the shift. And, again, you got to play the long game when you decide to do stuff like that. But it always stands out when you see balls like that go to wide open spaces.
Here's Dominic Temez, junior from San Antonio, Texas. Was rated the #2 catcher in the state of Texas and was an all-state performer. Mariners used their 35th round pick on him in 2019. Spent a year at Arkansas and then McClellan Junior College, where Nate Thompson, the Arkansas third base coach, brother coaches, and another one sneaks by. Now gets by Moore, headed to third is Williamson. All right, so Dave Van Horn wasn't a big shift guy a few years ago. Robert Moore shows up, and Hobbs, the pitching coach, really believes in analytics, and they start to become a more modernized defense. And this small sample size tonight, Chris Burke, I'd have Dave Van Horn shaking his head.
Yeah, and because that one right there, Tommy, is a double play, right? And I always believe in shifting your second baseman slightly up the middle on right-handed hitters. But Moore was literally directly behind the base. And if he had been even 5 to 7 feet further towards the first base bag, if he can glove that ball at all, they probably turned a double play on that Alabama backstop to Mez.
So here's Denton. So by my count, okay, so let's think about it this way. Alabama has 4 hits tonight. The first was a little chopper that Stovall knocked away from Moore. The other 3 have all been ground balls that in a normal defensive alignment would have been outs.
Yeah.
I know that's an unfair way to look at it.
Yeah.
If you don't mention all the ones that were hit and turned into outs thanks to the shift. But they certainly stand out when it doesn't work.
They do, and that's, again, why you just have to play the long game, understanding that there will always be ground ball hits. And you're just trying to put yourself in the place you think is the most likely for the ball to be hit on the ground.
And now one lined into right. Williamson has scored. And Alabama's on the board. 3rd consecutive hit to start this 4th against Connor Nolan.
There they go from Zane Denton. That's what they're looking for. Brad Bohannon was hoping that his third baseman was going to bust out, gets a hanging breaking ball, and that is a bullet into right field, as I like to tell my youngster.
Graduated from Harvard with an econ degree. Had his eyes open to SEC baseball when Harvard came down a couple of years ago and played Alabama. And just so happened that he had a pretty good game on that trip. In fact, that was the COVID-shortened season in 20. His only home run came in Tuscaloosa. That was the final series before COVID. He went 3 for 3, a double, a home run, and a single. Drove in 3, and he couldn't believe the facilities when the Harvard Crimson came down to play the Crimson Tide.
Well, you know, you go off in a SEC school. That'll get your phone calls returned when you want to think about transferring, right?
Mm-hmm. Played at St. Sebastian School outside of Boston. 1 and 2. Your biblical knowledge is pretty good. Do you know St. Sebastian at all? Familiar?
St. Sebastian, no. You're going to have to fill me in.
Okay,
on.
well, St. Sebastian survived an attempted execution by arrows, as the story goes. So the St. Sebastian team name, the mascot of his high school, the Arrows.
There you go.
Kind of backwards because all the arrows missed. Saddle rides this one in the shallow center, and Webb will put it away.
Part of the story, though. Part of the story.
That's right.
It'll keep the story fresh on my mind. Now, Seidel's had a full college career. Pretty cool to play in the Ivy League and the SEC in the same career. We're doing the game this Tuesday, Florida State. Brock Mathis, the catcher for Florida State, has played at LSU, Oklahoma State, and now Florida State. And I thought, these crazy times we live in, one player's gotten to play 3 of the 10 most storied programs in the sport. That's kind of a cool story.
That's really cool. Here's Owen Diodati. The Canadian looks at a first pitch strike, 0-1. So say that again. He played where?
Brock Mathis started at LSU, went to junior college, then went to Oklahoma State, and then transferred. Now is at Florida State.
He's got some gear, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he's not short on gear to take to the gym with him, I guess.
Ball and 2 strikes.
And that's one of the things you'll see with Nolan, Tommy, is it's oftentimes that he looks like he's just throwing the fastball to show it, because he really wants to get you out with the breaking ball. So just a fastball off the plate just to speed Diodati up, and something tells me he's probably going back to the bender here.
Diodati has a K rate of 25% in SEC play. It's been the kryptonite for both he and Denton, whose whiff rate is even higher than that. SEC batting average under 200. Half of his home runs have come in conference play for a guy who burst on the scene showing raw power. Meds at second, Denton at first. Swing and a miss on the breaking ball, just as you said. Strikeout number 4 for Connor Nolan, and now the 9-hole Jim Jarvis coming up.
Yeah, he just keeps going back to it. And, again, we talked about it. You see it in the scouting report. You watch a video on it, but that thing just comes out so flat. And it is a true 12-6er where when it gets to home plate, that ball does not come back in really towards the left-handers. It just straight nosedives into the dirt.
First pitch strike to Jarvis. Just off the plate inside, according to Derek Malika.
There's been a few fastballs that Connor Nolan has not been happy with the zone of Derek Malika. That one must have just missed in.
Jarvis lays off the breaking ball. 2-1. Chop to the right side, right at Stovall. He'll take it himself. 3 straight singles to start the inning, and that gets Alabama on the board. But they stranded. Okay. Oh, Berkey, ask him a question.
We can talk.
Bo.
I think they killed his headset, so we appreciate him joining us.
I thought it was a great question, Tom.
Yeah, thanks. There are many people out there who would love to hit a button where they only hear Chris Burke and not me, and Brad had it, and yet we pulled the cord on it. Garrett McMillan got the start for Alabama last night. He was perfect through 4. Things kind of unraveled on him in the middle innings, but they only had to use 2 relievers. And it's got to be all hands on deck, right? The final 2 games of the regular season, Berkey.
Oh, there's no question. And, obviously McNary giving them exactly what they want here tonight with a chance to win the ball game here in the middle innings. But, if you're Bama, boy, it is whatever means necessary to figure out a way to win one. Of course, Missouri up 10-2 in the ninth. Like, Missouri's going to get to 10 wins.
Little roller scooped up and wide as Rose made the play to get to it, but Jalen battles with the leadoff single.
So Missouri's going to get to 10, but again, Missouri will be 10 with a win, 10-19, and even if Bama was not able to come back in this game, that would be 10-18. So there's your tiebreaker you talked about, Tommy.
Yeah.
Mississippi State losing headed to the ninth to Tennessee, so they are just at 9 wins still. And, of course, Kentucky got their 11th, so they're looking pretty good.
Kentucky playing 2 today after they got rained out at home last night against Auburn. They won game 1. Actually, yeah, they won both. Apologies, 5-1 and 6-3. So Kentucky wins a series against Auburn. I take it back. I'm sorry. That is wrong. They won game 1 5-1. Auburn won game 2 6-3.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So they'll decide that series tomorrow. Everybody starts at just about the same time to wrap up the regular season, weather permitting, tomorrow. So Kentucky 11-18.
And the question is 11 going to be good enough? I think 11 will be good enough for Bama. Just because of that tiebreaker scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But, boy, that Missouri team. I made the comment last week, Dave, or Tom, excuse me, with Dave.
Sure,
that,
KP.
Yes, that if Georgia got swept last weekend at Tennessee and somehow lost the series to Missouri, I mean, Georgia had gone from looking like a top 8 seed to being, a 2 or 3 seed, right?
Yeah.
And, of course, they won that last game with Tennessee, which put them in, pretty good standing. But at 14-15, and, I guess what I'm saying is you don't want to get swept at home against Missouri to end the season. Is that fair?
That's fair. McNary fires it. Although, can I throw you a counterpunch?
Sure.
Second to last weekend last year, Mississippi State got beat by Missouri. If I'm not mistaken, they got swept, and they ended up winning the national title.
I think it was 2 out of 3, but you're right. They did lose that series, and they got swept in Hoover. They went 0-2 in Hoover. Now, that being said, Mississippi State won 20 conference games, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it was 18. Like, they had, 4 or 5 more than what Georgia currently has. But point is, you don't want to be 14-16 come Selection Monday. Now, their RPI is good enough, but they lost the series to Vanderbilt. They lost last weekend to Tennessee, and they've already lost this series to Missouri. Not exactly the way you want to be trending headed into the tournament.
Sacrifice put Battles at second, and now Caden Wallace facing a 1-1 count. Of note, as far as Alabama is concerned, they would lose the tiebreaker, the head-to-head tiebreaker with Mississippi State. State won that series, including an extra inning win first game of that series. But they won't finish tied because Alabama will have played one less game. They say you went. That's according to Clint Fagan. And so the inability from a rules perspective to play that final game against Auburn is going to impact a lot of different teams down the home stretch. That one in the dirt, advancing to third is Battles. And from an administrative standpoint, Berkey, that was a really interesting scenario that they didn't play that final game. School was out. There's an opportunity, if you don't have a curfew, to stick around to stay late and get that game in, perhaps, or find a way to make it work. But the rules are such that they couldn't continue. Swing and a miss, and that'll take care of Wallace. Now, as an example, that same night, I think it was Nebraska. That was Sunday in the Big Ten. Nebraska was at the ballpark for like 14 hours and finally finished their game.
Yeah, I understand the spirit of the rule, which is to get kids home on Sundays or on, travel days in general, but you would think there would be some language in there for after school's out and bus trips, right? I mean,
yeah.
They're a couple hours apart. There is no school to get home to. Why would we not hang around and finish the ball game? I mean, it just doesn't make much sense.
Michael Turner at the plate. He is 0 for 2. This is not Major League Baseball. We're going to take another trip to that city, and you got 5 months to get games in. You lose a game, you lose the games. Called strike on Turner.
And what we love about this sport is how much every game matters. I mean, here we are down the stretch still talking about a half a dozen different scenarios because that's how much one game can change things. And, not only from Alabama's perspective, but from Auburn's perspective.
Yep.
And you start thinking about seeding and are you a host or are you not, and all those kinds of things. Like one more win, and the flip side is also true, one more loss. It really does matter this time of year.
Turner sends the 2-1 deep into the left field corner and foul. Is that where you parked back there?
No, I'm in my driveway.
Oh, okay. You should be safe. Should be. Turner struck out in the first, grounded out in the third. He'll be playing in his first SEC tournament. Transfer from Kent State. And he belts it deep right field, chasing it back is Haminer. It is over his head and off the top of the fence. Battles has scored. Second base with a head-first dive, and it's a run-scoring double off the fence by Michael Turner.
Just a big-time at-bat right there. Fouling them off, kind of seen everything that McNary had to offer, and that's a hanging breaking ball. We've been seeing him put almost everybody away with the changeup, and for whatever reason, he goes to the breaking ball there against Turner, and he's lucky he got that one back. A bullet off the right center field fence, and the catcher is all juiced up. And Arkansas, each run they add just makes it feel that much harder for Bama in this ball game without Connor Noland's pitching.
Robert Moore at the plate. Florida had a big win last night against South Carolina. Moments ago, Mark Kingston, South Carolina's head coach, just got ejected from the game. That is a, last check, 3-0 lead for the Gators in the bottom of the fifth. Wyatt Langford homered twice last night.
Yeah, can we just
now
go ahead
leading
and call
the league
him
with 21.
The hottest hitter on the planet. He had 2 homers against Florida State. Back-to-back games, Tommy, he's hit the first pitch of the game off the batter's eye. 2 games in a row. We call that instant offense.
If he's hot, what is Texas's Ivan Melendez? Set a program record of his 28th home run tonight. He is now, Chris Berkman, a record that B.B. Corbats I didn't think was touchable. He is now only 3 home runs from Chris Bryant's home run total from when he played at San Diego.
Yeah, and to be fair to Chris Bryant, I think the B.B. Corbett was a little different. What was that, 2014, 2013? What was that, Tommy? But than they are today. That being said, Ivan Melendez looks like, a major league cleanup hitter playing college baseball right now. I mean, he just looks like a grown man amongst boys. 28 large ones. Made a pretty good decision to come back to Austin.
Robert Moore at the 3-1 pitch to Moore, misses low, and there's ball 4. This is 33rd walk of the season, drawn by Moore. 3rd tonight from McNary, whose efficiency has fallen off here in the 5th a little bit after battles with the leadoff single, the Turner double, and now the walk.
this is where it tends to happen for crafty righties or lefties, right? When you're third time through the order and guys have gotten a couple good looks at you, it becomes that much more difficult to continue to get guys, especially on that changeup that he loves to turn over.
First pitch strike to Lanzilli. '45th start of the season tonight for Lanzilli, and there's a line drive into center. Turner will be waved home from third. The throw goes into second, and Lanzilli drives in Turner. Two-hit night for Chris Lanzilli.
Well, that will make Dave Van Horn smile. We talked about that the last time that Lanzilli doubled and Slavens drove him in, but Lanzilli only 8 RBIs in conference play coming in to the last weekend of the SEC season. But he has swung it outstanding tonight. A line out, a double, and now an RBI knock as Jason Jackson's going to go out and have a conversation. But good to see this Razorback middle of the order starting to swing the bat if you're a Hawks fan.
How about the Bash Brothers slam with Lanzilli and Bobby Wernes, who knows something a little bit about postseason home runs. Remember a few years ago in the SEC tournament playing against that great Florida team, Andrew Benintendi with a late night home run in the top of the 9th inning, and then Wernes followed up a couple batters later, 1:30 in the morning with the game-winning home run. And we might have a couple of those 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning games this coming weekend. Well, McNary tonight, 6 hits and 4 earned. You bringing snacks?
I'm sure there will be plenty.
Brady Slavens 1 for 2, drove in a run with a single in the 4th. Robert Moore, the runner at second, Lanzilli at first.
2 strikes. 5 of the 6 hits for Arkansas have come with 2 strikes. Let's see if Slavens can keep that trend going.
This will be the 96th pitch of the night for McNary. And misses low with a changeup. McNary's gone over the century mark already twice this season. Last time out against Auburn, pulled after 89 pitches in 6 innings.
Yeah, he's not afraid. He's not afraid to go deep in a ball game, that's for sure. But that's kind of the look you're getting from these Arkansas hitters. Oh, when Slavin just swings underneath one, it gets away. Looks like with a hanging changeup.
Oh my goodness! Turned into a circus, and Denton couldn't catch up to it after apparently he'd called off the catcher. That would have ended the inning.
Wow. And you kind of got away with one, a hanging changeup there that Slavin swings right underneath, and Denton called off Temez early on a ball that he had to run a very long way for, unable to make that play. And boy, it is risky business giving a guy like Brady Slavens another opportunity.
Off the plate, 2-2.
See if he goes with a fastball here, Tommy. So many change-ups away. You got to believe at some point he's going to try to maybe speed him up with a fastball in. Let's see if he goes there here.
100th pitch of the night. He does. And it's strike 3 called. McNary had to work extra for it, but he's able to get his 6th K, and it strands a pair. But Arkansas extends the lead. 4-1, Razorbacks in the 5th.
Last time at Mississippi State, they won the SEC championship the very next year. And if John Cohn could do that pre-transfer portal, then you better believe Chris Lemonis can do that in today's generation, today's era. I would not expect Mississippi State to be down low.
Here's second baseman Caden Rose. Lead off the 5th against Connor Nolan. 4 strikeouts for Nolan. It's just 1 walk, and that's in for a strike, 2-1. Rose from Bob Jones High School in Madison, Alabama. Was rated the #3 player in the state a couple of years ago coming out. In for a strike, 3-2, and the #1 shortstop. Not only was Rose 3-time first-team All-State, he was also first-team All-State on the gridiron. Nolan didn't get the pitch he wanted. Looked very similar to the one that Slavens was called out on the other side of the plate. It's a leadoff walk to put Rose aboard.
Boy, and Connor Nolan had a little something to say to home plate umpire Derek Malika. Malika took his mask off and gave it back to him. We take a look at the battle for Hoover. And Mississippi State is now out. And it's a 3-horse race between the Tigers, the Tide, and the Wildcats. Obviously, like Kentucky's spot, they're already a game up.
Missouri with the tiebreaker over Mississippi State after out-slugging them when State went up to Columbia 3 weeks ago, I think it was, maybe 4. And to your point, Berkey, that's, you talk about every game mattering. Every series matters.
Yep.
William Hamiter singled his last time up. They're playing him straight up now, essentially. With runner at first, he goes, and it's a line drive base hit for Hamiter. Headed to third is Rose. Bama's got runners at the corners, nobody out in the 5th.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Play a little baseball. The offense is not doing much. We got a leadoff runner on. We got a strike thrower on the mound. A guy can handle the bat and Hamiter. A fastball right down Broadway. Rose is on the move. And an easy first to third. And Bama trying to get right back in this ball game.
Missouri knocked off Georgia 10-3. Tigers will play for a trip to Hoover tomorrow. Here's Andrew Pinckney. He's 0 for 2. Breaking ball chopped up the middle. And battles on the other end. Too late. And gets a run home anyway. You surprised Moore didn't take that himself?
I think he was too deep.
Okay.
Now, maybe could have charged earlier, if that's what you mean. Maybe he could have come more aggressively through that ball. We'll watch here. This ball chopped over the mound. See, Moore kind of started in, then backed up. But once he backed up, he certainly did the right thing of flipping it to battles. I think he felt like if he'd have charged, he'd have ended up with an in-between hop and maybe wouldn't have gotten anybody out. So took the safe route, which is probably a smart play up 3.
Here's Drew Williamson. Nice pickup behind the plate by Turner after Pinckney's RBI fielder's choice. We've talked a lot about what's on the line for Alabama in this game, in this weekend, and Arkansas looking for another division crown. Tied with Texas A&M. Right now, Ole Miss leads A&M 5-3 in the 4th inning in Oxford. Through the hole. Pinckney heading to third. And Bama's got runners at first and third with one down. Second hit of the night for Drew Williamson.
Well, just like that, here comes the Tide. A couple runs by the Hogs in the top half, and now Alabama gets to the top of their batting order and have done a nice job of putting themselves within striking distance here, looking for one big swing of the bat from Mr. Tamez, and we got ourselves a brand new ball game.
Tamez played in 8 games at Arkansas in 2020, the pandemic-shorted season. And Casey Opitz came back after getting an extra year, that 5-round draft. And I put Tamez in junior college, and this one gets into left field. He's got another hit against his former team, and it's now a 1-run game.
Wow, and the ground ball fest continues. I mean, it is, Hamiter obviously had the line drive to right, but other than that, Pinckney with the chopper up the middle, Williamson with a ground ball in the 4-hole, and now Tamez with a bullet in the 6-hole. Not exactly a bunch of bullets off the wall, but that'll be it for Nolan as the Tide has started to find some holes.
And so Arkansas will turn it over to Zach Morris. No Tide batter face. Denton drove in a run last time up. Connor Nolan, 8 hits over 4 1/3. And I think 7 of those 8, if I'm not mistaken, were on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Righty's hitting almost 100 points better than lefties against Morris this season. Turner had to scramble after that one. He's got the switch hitting Denton, then Seidel before he faces his first lefty in Diodati. An Arkansas bullpen led by Brady Taggart, who is 4th in the league in saves. That one off the catcher's mitt, gets to the bricks. And a wild pitch puts Williamson at third, and Tamez behind him fills in at second.
Well, I was just about to say that the fact that, and again, you're flipping Denton around, but the fact that it's a couple hitters until you face a true lefty shows how much this coaching staff trusts Zach Morris, but it has not been a real sharp start to the outing.
See if Morris can find his rhythm. The 2-1 to Denton. Breaking ball fouled off. Morris is 2-2. And the count full with first base open. And Seidel waiting on deck.
Just doesn't look super comfortable right now, Tommy. We've seen a pitch to the backstop, one breaking ball for a strike, but that changeup wasn't particularly close.
Payoff pitch. In the dirt. There's ball 4. After just his 3rd wild pitch of the season. A walk. And Bama's got the bases loaded with their season on the line here in this series. Trailing by 1 with 1 out in the 5th.
I like the move here by Robert Moore. He's smart enough to realize that his left-hander's scuffling a little bit. Just trying to come in, calm him down. You know, maybe get his mind off a pitch and get him thinking about a defensive play right there. It looked like he said, ground ball back to you, we're going home. Always felt like sometimes that was a good way to get the pitcher thinking about something other than the fact that he might not be feeling great on the bump.
Tommy Seidel, the Harvard grad, is 0 for 2 tonight. And he looks at the fastball low. Seidel was a fantastic high school athlete. His senior year at St. Sebastian's, he was captain of the baseball team, the basketball team, and the football team.
Over his last couple, and now this one, 4 1/3. You know, it hasn't been lights out from Connor Nolan here for the last 3 weeks.
2-0, that one blocked by Turner. But you look, and you put that performance tonight after putting eyes on it in the same category, when 7 of the 8 hits were on the ground, and 4 of them at least were picked up thanks to the shift.
Yeah, and I think in a couple of them were, you know, infield choppers, right? It certainly wasn't a laser show, but again, he gave up 8 hits tonight in 4 1/3. He had given up 10 hits in his previous 9 innings. So that's 18 in his last 13 1/3. That's a lot of hits, Tommy.
Here's a 2-0 to Seidel. 2 balls and a strike. Nolan's a guy that's going to give up some hits every now and then, and with this defense, they usually get to him. 5th best fielding defense in the country, number 1 in the SEC in double plays.
But you know, you think about it, 3 walks and 8 hits in 4 1/3. I don't know what that whip is, but it's high, right? You pitch with enough traffic on. At some point, somebody's going to run into 2 RBI base hit or what have you, and you know, just not as dominant as he was maybe his first 7 or 8 starts.
Fouled off by Seidel, 2-2. I know how you operate. I know you have somebody else who does the math for you, so maybe somebody can send you that whip.
I definitely would need someone to do that for me, yes.
Into right field, racing in Lanzilli,
Careful.
lays out, and he couldn't get it. Carousel is turned, and Williamson has scored. Tamez has scored. And Tommy Seidel loops one into right field. It doesn't get played properly, and Alabama has tied this game at 4.
Yeah, just a pop up into right center field, just kind of perfectly placed, and you can see Webb and Lanzilli both coming on, and you know, Lanzilli makes a move on it, but he has to feel Webb here as he's going to try to finish that play off. And he was in position to catch the ball, just a lot going on there, I'm sure, in his peripheral vision, unable to finish it off. And man, what a move Alabama has made here in the bottom of the 5th.
Pardon me, Tamez did not score. He's at 3rd, Denton at 2nd, Seidel at 1st. Bases loaded with 1 out for Owen Diodati, who's been a Grand Slam king since he got to campus. Diodati in 20 was a freshman All-American, All-Canadian, named by the Canadian Baseball Network. Three Grand Slams last season. Had tied a school record as he looks at a strike, 0-2. In fact, he had grand slams in back-to-back games against College of Charleston and South Alabama. The South Alabama shot was a walk-off. And I think Zebulon Vermillion is ready to go in the Arkansas pen. He's been up for a while. The 0-2 to Owen Diodati. Grounded to the right side, foul.
I don't know what you think, Tommy, but it appears as soon as the left-hander stood in the box, Zach Morris felt a lot more comfortable. Landed 3 breaking balls immediately as soon as Diodati took his turn. Obviously, they want him to be more than just a specialist, but there's certainly a comfort level, it appears, facing the left-handed hitter.
And that makes sense. Lefties against Morris hitting just 115. 3 for 26 on the season. Line drive, base hit. That's the 4th hit by a lefty. And a carousel rolling now. 1-run home. Here comes the second. And it's a 2-run single by Owen Diodati. And Alabama, with its back against the wall, is back in front of 7th-ranked Arkansas.
Well, Morris went to the well one too many times. 4 straight breaking balls against Diodati. This one's hanging, and Diodati makes him pay. We talked about last half inning, Tommy, how Dave Van Horn had to be so pleased to get the middle of his order going. Well, Williamson with a big RBI knock, and now Diodati, the left-handed power hitters that he was hoping for so much production from this season, have now come up with some big swings to pull the Tide out in front.
Robert Moore is walking all over the infield, buying some time. Vermillion still getting loose. And he wants another 1 or 2 between pitches as Jim Jarvis stands in. I should say before the Jarvis at-bat started. Jarvis gets that one down in the safety, and he is safe at the plate. Jarvis, the best runner on the team, gets home Seidel.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, Tommy.
Think they got him?
It looked awfully close at the plate. A bunt right back to Morris. Morris does a nice job. Look at Turner get to the front of the plate. Let's see where the tag is. No, that's a fantastic slide. Seidel gets in there. The left hand under the glove of Turner. Yeah, I think he gets in there.
So they squeeze home another run, and that'll do it for Zach Morris, who faces 4 batters, all 4 reach. He gives up a couple of inherited runs, and Alabama's going to bat around here in the 5th inning. Vermillion out of the Arkansas bullpen with the Razorbacks trailing by 3. Well, a change of events here in the bottom of the 5th inning in Tuscaloosa, with Alabama now leading Arkansas 7-4. 6 runs in the 5th, and they're still batting. And Zebulon Vermillion, the versatile right-hander, will enter. The veteran is 2-0 with a 2.61 ERA, 25 strikeouts in 20 2/3 innings pitched.
And one of the things to watch with Vermillion, he's going to elevate the fastball, and then he's going to throw that split finger. You will see a slider as well, but the splitty, when he has it going, can be a real swing and miss offering.
Vermillion only threw once last weekend against Vanderbilt, only a third of an inning. And that came in their 11-6 win, their lone win on the year. Threw once in the Auburn series. Threw once in the LSU series. This is a great Arkansas bullpen with a lot of different pieces. Caden Rose started the inning with a walk. He's at the plate now with 2 on. That was a RBI sacrifice for Jarvis, according to the score. And Bama now 5 for 11 with runners in scoring position. Alabama out-hit Arkansas last night 10-8, but lost. Fastball up and away. Tied 4 batters with multi-hit games tonight. That went off of the glove of Turner. That'll be a pass ball that gets all the way to the backstop and allows Diodati to get to third and Jarvis to second.
Well, be interesting to see here if you could play the same small ball game you just did to get your last run there. If you're 2-1 count, you know you're getting a strike.
Two and two. Notre Dame finishes off Miami, trying to win the Atlantic. The Irish have a slight edge over Louisville for the Atlantic Division race. Louisville, one of those teams competing for the top 8 national seed. Miami still has a chance to win the series and win the ACC regular season title. That's strike 3 called on Caden Rose as Vermillion went back to the fastball.
And you can see Rose was definitely looking for something soft right there. Vermillion just dots a fastball. Brad Bohannon elects to allow his leadoff hitter to swing the bat, and he gets caught frozen pizza. Just a heater right down Broadway. Rose can't pull the trigger. It's Vermillion trying to get the Hogs off the field and keep it at a 3-run ball game.
Here's William Hammond. 2 on with 2 out. Hammer sends it into right field. Lanzilli and Webb. And Webb, the center fielder, handles it. They send 11
on the season. And he had a monster night again last night against Vanderbilt as well. He was 4 for 4 last night. He's 3 for 4 tonight. He hit a homer last night. He's hit 2 tonight. And he is carrying. Of course, it's nice to have his boy Jacob Berry back in the lineup, but a Vanderbilt team that was red hot has been punched in the nose by LSU.
Braden Webb looking at a 1-1 count. So just like I would caution folks to wait on what things are going to look like, whether it be Hoover or the NCAA tournament, hold your ballots and hold your votes on things like Player of the Year.
That's fair.
We are in no rush to get the votes in.
But don't they have to be in by tomorrow?
I don't know. Nobody asked. I didn't
it's
answer
handed.
that email.
I know it's handed out at Hoover, so you don't have too much more time. But certainly Cruz and Langford have entered the conversation. But isn't it amazing? I was down there in Baton Rouge last week. We were talking about how LSU is a lock host. Then they get swept, and all of a sudden you're going, well, if they go to Vanderbilt and get swept, they might not make the tournament. And sure enough, they win the first 2 games. Now they have 16 conference wins, and they look like they're going to host again.
It is wild.
I mean,
Webb is 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a double play, and he strikes out looking at a 3-2 pitch on the edge. So here's what we got. Tuesday morning, 10:30 on the air for game 1 of 4 on Tuesday, 4 on Wednesday, 4 on Thursday. And that's all weather permitting, because it looks like it might be a little soggy in central Alabama next week. All games except the championship on SEC Network. Championship Sunday on ESPN2. Chopper to third. Nice pickup. Denton throws high. And Williamson helps him out. 2 down. Who you got?
Well, I'm leaning Lipscomb, and 3 weeks ago I said it was Sonny DeShera. He has dipped. 3 weeks ago he's hitting 435, and the ribbies and homers have slowed. He still leads the league in average OBP and slugging, pretty loud. Trey Lipscomb leads the league he's now second in homers, leads the league in ribbies, second in runs. Wyatt Langford has exploded onto the scene, now leads the league in runs, and is first in homers, hitting leadoff for a Gators team that is red hot. They're up 7-0 again tonight as they look to kind of backdoor their way into a hosting conversation. So I think 3 fantastic choices. I would certainly put Dylan Cruz on that list now too, but at the end of the day, Tommy, it kind of feels like if you're first in the league in ribbies, second in runs, second in homers, and you play on the league champs, you're probably going to be player of the year. What do you think?
Good qualifications. Jarvis waited on that one. There's plenty of time to retire his counterpart. It's a 1-2-3 sixth. Alabama's got some momentum, and the Tide has the lead, 7-4, as we head to the home of the sixth. Alabama leads 7th-ranked Arkansas 7-4 as we move to the bottom of the 6th inning. It'll be the heart of the order due up for Alabama: Pinckney, Williamson, and Temez. Here's a look at the scores, and these are all relevant, especially as we talk about who will host. Now, Missouri has won the series at Georgia as they try to play their way into Hoover. Kentucky split with Auburn today. LSU's gone final. They've won the series with Vandy. Go for the sweep tomorrow. And Tennessee has eliminated Mississippi State. First pitch swinging. Pinckney deep left field. It is gone. Leadoff home run. The 11th first pitch home run of the season for Alabama. There's your 0-0 bomb.
Now, what I tell you he's been working on, Tommy, he's been working on the fastball in. Where's this pitch? Fastball in. You got to keep the arms real tighty to the chest, make sure the barrel stays inside the ball, and that was a no-doubter. I don't know if it quite got to the scoreboard, but certainly on line with it, and Pinckney adds to the Tide's lead.
What a run it's been for Pinckney. His last 13 games, 5 doubles and 3 home runs. (8-4) Bama. Here's Drew Williamson. So based on the scores that we've seen tonight, and regular season concludes tomorrow, how many host sites total on SEC campuses for the NCAA tournament?
Well, I will say this. I think if Florida and LSU win tomorrow, I think they're going to get 6. I think Tennessee's a host. I think Arkansas, A&M, and Auburn are hosts. So I think those are 4 locks. Okay? So Florida's RPI is certainly in the conversation. If they get to 16 wins and have the top 12 RPI, Florida's going to host. I mean, history says that, right? Mm-hmm. And LSU, if they sweep Vandy on the road and get to 16 conference wins, they probably would, their RPI was 34 entering the day. They probably would still need to win a couple games in Hoover, but they're going to be right there on the verge.
They usually do win a couple in Hoover. Breaking ball in for a strike to Dominic Temez.
Good point.
So, of those 6, you're looking at 3 national seeds and 3 others. Still will sort itself out. Tennessee, obviously, and then probably 2 from the West.
You mean 3 top 8?
Yeah, 3 top 8. Sorry, I still have to use the old terminology. Yep. 3 top 8, and then 3 more. How would you like to be seed whatever? You top 8 national seed, and you've got Florida or LSU or Auburn, whomever, coming to your place with a trip to Omaha on the line.
Yeah, you're not going to like that. I will say this, though, Tommy, and this careful what you wish for if you're Florida or LSU. But think about it like this. Do you want to be the 16 seed?
It's a great question. That is a great question.
I mean, if you're Kevin O'Sullivan, would you rather, hey, we hosted, we're the 16 seed, and like, maybe I'd rather be a 2 seed in somebody else's regional.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't want to be the 2 seed in Lubbock, fly halfway across the country and face a team that's shown the propensity for big wins and has postseason history on their side.
But what do we know about this looks like
coming off the bag at third is Wallace.
What do we know about where they usually send LSU or Florida? Like, Florida's probably going to an ACC regional, right? Let's just hypothetical if they don't host. Fair?
Yeah, you could be going to Miami or Notre Dame.
Yeah, they're going somewhere on the East Coast, and then LSU's going somewhere west. Like, if they don't host, LSU almost always goes west, right? And I guess my point is, would you rather be a 2 seed in a mid-level host, or at a mid-level host tournament, or would you rather be the 16th seed and have to go to Knoxville for the Super?
You think LSU would? Coming into this week, Gonzaga was a 16 seed. You'd rather go out there and
no, I don't think you would. I guess what I'm saying is, I don't think you want to be in the 16, wherever the number 16.
Yeah, you want to be away from it.
You want to be away from drawing Tennessee in the next round, I guess is what I'm saying.
But here's my point. I know that it doesn't always work like this because they don't seed 1 through 64. But theoretically, if you were the first team away from hosting, you would be the 17th seed, right?
That's right. That's right. Theoretically, but we know they don't do that. Florida they'd keep those seeds closer to regionally. Bracket,
geography
don't you
plays
think?
a much bigger role in that. Sure.
Yeah.
In the air and to left, Gregory puts it away for the second out.
So it's kind of the
All
game.
Right, so here's I'll give you a theoretical here. You rather go to Florida State, if you're Florida, you'd rather go to Florida State as a 2 seed and not be on Tennessee's side, or host and be the 16th seed and be opposite Tennessee.
I think so. Again, the goal is to get to Omaha. Right now, I know the athletic directors, everybody likes to host, but if you're talking about the path of least resistance to get to Omaha, I don't think any team that's capable of getting to Omaha is worried about what side of the Omaha draw necessarily that you're on. But I think everybody has seen enough from the Vols to know that it is going to be a very tall task to beat them in their own ballpark.
We said the exact same thing about Arkansas last year. Fastball up, 1-1. They're the best pitcher in the country. They had the best power in the country, the best fielding team in the country.
Yep.
And they had a nearly 20-run win in Game 1 against NC State, and they didn't make it.
You just never know.
1-1. Off the knuckles and a little roller to Stovall, and he'll take it himself. A leadoff home run from Andrew Pinckney. All right, thanks. What a wild run for that Ole Miss program. Number 1 in the country and a sensational start. Then they fell off. They weren't happy with their pitching. The veterans weren't really performing. And now they're out slugging A&M. They've out hit them 10-5 tonight. And we'll go for the series win. If that score holds, they have a chance to win the series tomorrow. What is the key for this, has been the key for this Ole Miss turnaround?
I think it's Kevin Graham. And you got to give Hunter Elliott a bunch of credit and Dylan DeLucia. They've been fantastic to 1 and 2 starters for Ole Miss. They've really settled in, but I think getting Kevin Graham back fully healthy has really changed things for that offense.
Zach Gregory got hit, and he's in a lot of pain. It's the 12th time he's been hit by a pitch this season.
Ooh. Catch him right on the wrist.
Do you have ears, Derek? When does the pad make that noise?
Now they're arguing that it caught the knob.
Uh-huh.
If it caught the knob, Gregory should win an Oscar.
Well, we could have a Brian Walker situation, right? At least it hit something this time. I think it got the knob. I think it did.
Ooh, that looks like the knob to me, Tom.
And I tell you what, there's a case to be made for overacting in this scenario, if that's the case, because it looked like it really, really hurt the way he reacted to that. And I was surprised a little bit because he knew it was coming in on him. Maybe the stink eye will help a little bit. Looks like he's sucking lemons out there. They're going to take a look at it.
This one's pretty quick. That ball bounced a long way. Interesting.
They said it did hit it. What do you think? What percentage of calls have you seen overturned this season?
I would say
I'm
less.
asking you strictly anecdotally because not like you watch every single game.
Yeah, I mean, the games I've done, I'd say only a handful the whole year, if that. I mean, I just can't hardly remember any. You?
Here's Caden Wallace at the plate. He's 0 for 3. Yeah, not many. Do you think it's because these guys are that good?
I mean, I think they do get a lot of them right. Yes, I think especially a lot of the bang-bangers at first, they've gotten a bunch right.
Weird double play here. Rose in the shift with the jump throw and not in time. And they get the lead runner, Gregory, and that's it.
So we've talked a lot about the shift, Tom, and I had a conversation with Adam about that this fall, and he said, here's where the shift kills me. I mean, Tom, at every level, at every age of baseball, that is a 6-4-3 double play.
Okay.
And when you don't have anybody to flip the ball to, it turns into that. Instead of the most routine twin killing you could possibly have as a pitcher, you got one out and pitching with the dude on base still. And I remember Wainwright told me, he goes, I'm fine with the shifts, but when I get a runner on first base, I have got to know that we can turn a double play ball. Like it just whatever we got to do to.
Let me ask you. I understand. I understand all of that, and I understand that frustration. The shift has been put in play after study of where the ball is going to end up, right? So whether it's a double play situation or not, these major league teams spending gobs of money, not just to hire the people, but to pay for the services that produce the data. So you're telling me that the data is wrong in these scenarios?
No, what I'm telling you is he told them, regardless of the data, he doesn't care who it is and how it works, but somebody has to be there to turn the double play, right? Which I would love to know how the data factors in the scenario of not turning two and how that weights against a ground ball fielded, right? Like, would I rather give up an extra hit or two in the 6 hole to turn two there?
And there's a lot of variables that go into that, right? The odds of turning two, quality of your middle infield, speed of the hitter. Here's the 1-2 to Turner. Did he go? Tyler Simpson said yes. I guess my point, and once again, it's kind of what you're getting at with the question, is if it doesn't save runs or get outs, whatever measurable you're using, then why would they employ it to begin with? They're employing it to get as many outs as they possibly can, right? To save as many runs as they can. So the math has to say something, as much as it may be frustrating to Adam Wainwright or whoever is on the mound.
I think my point is, can we modify it enough, right, to where Caden Rose, instead of playing all the way over on the shortstop side, can he be maybe behind the base and we can pinch the shortstop just enough where, you see what I'm saying, where there's a ball, somebody can flip the ball to somebody, as opposed to that dude being totally naked, having to run over there and make some hero jump throw.
Can we change it by 4 steps? It would keep the double play in order. That one was lost by Seidel. That was weird.
I don't think so. I think Seidel went with the old
Wallace?
deke when he knew he wasn't going to catch it. The problem is, Tommy, there's 2 outs. Like, you can't really deke anybody with 2 outs. I think he acts like he's just going to catch it. I don't think – maybe you're right. Maybe he did lose it there at the end, Tommy. Maybe. No, I don't think so. I think he went with the old deke and just forgot that with 2 outs, the deke doesn't really work.
Here's Lanzilli. Yanked down the line. It's another one. Three extra bases for Lanzilli. He fits it inside the chalk again. Wallace has scored. Here comes Moore all the way from first. He scores, and we've got a 2-run game thanks to Chris Lanzilli's 3rd hit of the game. And by the way, the 3rd time he has pulled it towards the bag at third base.
I thought we had this conversation with Zane Denton. Did we tell him, speaking of the shift, isn't he supposed to be on the third base line right now? Don't we have that data, Tommy?
He is, but Wainwright told him not to move that much.
And he has got to be ticked because he was pretty much on the line, and somehow Lanzilli still fit come resume time.
Guffey going to work. First pitch, breaking ball, misses away. They have not gone final yet in Oxford. Rebels had the lead in the middle innings last check. 18th appearance for Guffey. He's 2-3 with a 3.45. And this lefty-lefty matchup gets it in for a strike, 1-1.
It is pretty crazy, too. Another stat we got this week from our great researcher, Jeremy Mills, at ESPN, is the average RPI in the last 5 years of top 8 national seeds is 5.4. So,
make sense of that for me.
Well, I mean, essentially, if you're not in the top 10 in RPI, you're usually not a top 8 seed, which it's pretty crazy how that flawed of a metric has become that important of a measuring stick in the sport. There's just a lot of variables that go into that deal.
One-two pitch, misses low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Slavens. They go with Guffey, the lefty, with a runner at second base and 2 down to face Slavens here. And Slavens on the season hitting .226 against lefties, .270 against righties. Breaking ball, struck. 6-run 5th. Nothing in 1. 1 in the 4th, 6 in the 5th, and 1 in the 6th for Alabama. Wow, that looked good from this angle.
Been a few of those tonight. Florida just wrapped up game 2 against South Carolina, an 8-0 shutout. And that Brandon Neely combo, Tommy, starting to look like what we're used to seeing from the Gators with the starting rotation.
Couple of Brandons. Diodati goes down swinging.
Think about this. Florida was 6-12 in the SEC. And currently they sit 15-14. A 9-2 run has the Gators right on the verge of potentially being one of the top 16. They are certainly now in the conversation.
Here's Jim Jarvis. Got the safety down last time up and fouls that one off of his foot. It is not an exact science, but it was evident once we got about a third of the way through the season that experience and high floor talent was going to trump inexperience and high ceiling talent. I thought Vanderbilt and Florida were both great examples of that. Now, once again, I say it's an inexact science based on what Vanderbilt has done this weekend against LSU, but Florida is playing up to that talent, especially what Kevin O'Sullivan has done with some of the youngsters that he's inserted into his batting order, and Vanderbilt will always be a threat to do the same thing. So I guess my question is, at the end of the day, will it be that experience, the 24-year-old SoCon transfers, guys playing up a level, that wins out, or the talent? 1-2-3 frame work by Ramage, and then Iowa had a 10-run fourth, and Kyle Huckstorf went 6 for 7 with 3 home runs and 12 ribbies.
And
Iowa, to close the book on that one, Iowa won that game 30-16.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Stovall.
Bama scoring 6 in an inning. It's just one of those deals. You usually look back at games and you say, that inning got away from us, and that ends up being the defining moment of a game. Now let's see if that can actually be the case here for the Tide. But you give up a 6 spot in an inning, that's a pretty big mountain to climb.
Arkansas has 3 comebacks this season when trailing after 7 innings. They are 3-10. Chase that one way out of the zone. And with first base occupied, a strikeout complete. It's a second for Guffey.
And we talked about the struggles of Peyton Stovall here in his freshman year. It's not been bad. It just hasn't been as great as what was anticipated. And you got to believe, Tommy, a big piece of that is how many lefties he's faced relative to probably what he's used to seeing at the high school level.
Here's Jalen Battles and sends a ground ball to second. Rose to Jarvis to Williams.
To get in, to have 12, 13 conference wins, you'd need an RPI in the 20s to have any chance. But definitely, obviously LSU's in, and Ole Miss wins tonight. I think they're in. But Bama and South Carolina just haven't been able to play well enough down the stretch.
William Hamiter has a couple of hits tonight. He's 2 for 4. Hamiter hit safely in both of the Auburn games. He went 3 for 8. A home run, and he drove in 3. That was just his 3rd home run of the season. In the dirt, Ramage dispatches him. Second K for Ramage, who needed just 9 pitches in the 7th. So here's Pinckney. Homered on the first pitch he saw in the 6th.
Yeah, here was. Been working on this pitch, working on getting the barrel to the inside pitch and keeping it fair. And we have seen him do that a few times, and it's a big reason the power numbers have jumped here down the stretch. Pinckney always had pretty good bat-to-ball skills, but now starting to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Be interesting to see where pro ball values Pinckney, draft eligible this year. But, I think there's some hope from Brad Bohannon and staff that he comes back and, maybe has a chance to really become a star.
2-2. There's some good examples of that in recent college baseball history, and especially with the shortened draft. You mentioned Ivan Melendez coming back to Texas this year. Judd Fabian turned down the Red Sox second-round pick to come back to Florida. 3-2 to Pinckney. So we're going to miss on the breaking ball. Back-to-back Ks, and now 3 for Ramage. Bases empty, 2 down. Drew Williamson coming up. Rally Caps coming away Sunday, 8 o'clock on the SEC Network. Softball regionals. And to wrap up SEC baseball regular season. Ole Miss got upset on the softball side today. Tennessee won. Arkansas with a run rule win over Princeton. Alabama won.
Question is, can anybody beat that Oklahoma team? What are they, like 49-1 or something insane?
Ground ball to short, and Battles bobbles it. That'll be his 8th error of the season.
Boy, there's a lot of plays that can lead to errors, but this is a weird one because he's already caught the ball. Right? He's just going to make the transfer from glove to hand and just dropped it. That is not a play you see Jalen Battles make a little bit. You see he came up just a little bit on the catch, caught the ball on the web, and when he went to transfer it, wasn't able to secure it.
I'm just curious, Berkey, if Oklahoma softball wins another national championship, can we count it as an SEC title?
It's getting there. When's that move going to come quicker than we're hearing? What are you thinking, Tommy?
I don't know.
You got the inside?
No. All I know is what the contract says. Temez has a couple of hits. I got a fun team name for you for Temez. Runner goes and into second base. It's San Antonio. The San Antonio Missions, a Double-A Texas League team. They
Don't
sponsor
remind me.
summer. Okay.
I played 8 million games there. Thank you.
They sponsor a summer ball team that plays in the Texas Collegiate League.
Okay.
The team name that Temez played for was the Flying Chanclas.
Oh.
Fouled back to the bricks. Chancla is meant to pay homage to the Latino abuela, Spanish for grandmother, and her strength is the matriarch of the family. The logo is a flying flip-flop or sandal. Missions also use that as the alternate name. I'm surprised you didn't know some of these names. The Baton Rouge team is the Rougarou. I didn't know that word until Ed Ogeron taught me it, and he said, yeah, it's like the boogeyman down in Louisiana. You know, Rougarou, the scary guy that lives under the bed.
Oh, no.
Chopped off the plate, mile high. Off the bag, what a play at third. And they'll start the ninth with a pinch hitter. This is Dylan Leach. Switch hitting catcher looks at a first pitch strike. Leach is hitting in Gregory's spot. Sophomore from Carthage, Texas. Gregory, the lefty, was 0 for 2. So go to the righty Leach. Counts even. Leach got one start in the Vanderbilt series. The sophomore went 0 for 3. Curveball off the plate. Two and two.
Boy, and these are 3 big outs here, Tommy, for this Alabama team. Boy, do they need them. A win here. They got to be feeling pretty good about their chances playing Hoover next week.
Leach pops it up. Rose gets around on it. One down. Brock Guffey trying to finish it off. Here's Caden Wallace. One-two pitch is through the wide open right side. And Wallace is aboard, and they'll bring the tying run to the plate.
All right, now, Tommy, as we see Caden Wallace, he gets a fastball up and smashes it in that backside hole. Now, let me ask you this, Tommy. Okay, so Alabama wins this game. If they can hold on here and win this game, they got 11 wins, right? Missouri has to win tomorrow to get to 11. But even if Alabama loses tomorrow, again, that game they missed becomes the tiebreaker with them over Missouri, correct?
I'm sorry, I had the producer talking to me. Who would have the tiebreaker?
Okay, well, if Missouri has to win to get to 11, right? Bama wins this one, they're at 11. So, essentially, even if they lose tomorrow and Missouri wins, they got Missouri beat on the tiebreaker, which is
by the
one less game.
Yeah,
right?
Not technically a tiebreaker. I think tiebreaker is a little bit misleading.
Win
in this scenario.
percentage.
It's not yes,
Yeah.
by a half game because they didn't play
win percentage. Right. So then it would become Missouri would have to win tomorrow and Kentucky would have to lose. And in that scenario, Missouri would get in because Missouri beat Kentucky 2 out of 3. So basically what I'm saying here is if Alabama wins this game, they're in.
Three and 0 now. Michael Turner.
You with me on that, math? Because Mississippi State was eliminated, correct?
I feel like this is a Jeremy Mills question. Yeah, they were eliminated.
Mississippi State was eliminated. So if Bama wins this game, they're in.
Two outs away from clinching that spot. Full count.
Are you with me on my math here? I feel like you're still searching. You're trying to. You're seeing if your brain's alive enough to figure this one out. Are you with me or no?
I'm looking for confirmation. Deep left field into the corner. Seidel's got plenty of space. Turner retired, and there's one out left for this Arkansas. Nothing in one.
And Brock Guffey has been fantastic. I know it got a little shaky there in the seventh, but off of Ben Hess. But since he has entered this game, he has been outstanding.
Line drive, base hit for Moore. He's got his second hit of the game. And had one bad inning. Came in second in the league in ERA. 1-0 to Lanzilli. His first at bat, he sent a screaming line drive to Zane Denton at third. Denton is just a step off the line, way behind the bag. 1-1. Denton with a double in the fourth, an RBI single in the fifth, and a two-run double down the third baseline in the seventh. Fouled it straight back, 1-2.
So breaking ball first pitch, then a couple heaters to get ahead 1-2. Wouldn't surprise me at all if he goes back to that breaking ball here for the put-away pitch as the crowd rises to their feet, starting to smell a victory here in game two.
The 1-2, swing and a miss, got him the tag to finish it, and Alabama even.